Hello, hello, testing. We're going to test our feed here. I see Finite World and Noah's Ark and Brie. Welcome to Part-Time Permies. For those of you guys who don't know, but I think you're all regulars. I'm Cindy.
Hello, I'm Michael.
And we are getting going, but I think our stream is really slow, and I know other live shows have had some issues with buffering recently. So I know there's quite a bit of a lag today. But if you could just give me a verification if you guys can hear us.
Cat was behind you.
I have a cat who's trying to get up on my chair from behind. Anyway. So hello, Valerie and Bree and Noah's Ark and Finite World.
We missed the rain. We got a sprinkle today. That was it. It
which was lucky.
So yeah, there was a little rain in the area, but we were good.
Okay. And Wholesome Roots. Rose, hello, hello. Did someone say Morels?
Yes, just a few.
Just a few
but
Morels.
A few nice ones.
Yes. So I might bring you out of hiding for the night. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry to hear about your goat, Rose. I don't know which one it was. I haven't watched really any videos. We've been crazy. But I saw your post on Friday about losing your goat. That's so sad. So I'm sure everybody understood why you didn't do a live show on Friday. But yeah, we've had an extremely busy week, an extremely busy day. I think we're out of the house for like 12 hours today from the time we left this morning.
We left at 8, just after 8.
And we got home at 8.
Got home 8 or
Or just after 8.
Yep. So 12 hours out.
Yeah. Noah's Ark's never had a Morel. Sure you would like them, yes.
If you like mushrooms in general, you'll be fine with morels. They're not overly strong.
No.
They are one of the most prized. I'd say morels and chanterelles in general are the most prized foraged mushrooms.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the cat wants to join us here today. Oh, not anymore. So you guys had hail. Valerie, where are you guys at? I forget now. I'm so bad with remembering who's where. I know Single Man's out in California. Hello, Single Man. I remember that one. And Noah's Ark in Michigan, and Wholesome Roots in Georgia, and Finite World in Michigan, and Bree. Is Bree Michigan? I can't remember.
No,
oh my gosh.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. There's someone in Kentucky that watches regularly, and I can't remember who that was. Anyway, yes, Noah's Ark loves mushrooms.
Well, if you don't find any, go to your farmer's market.
Yeah.
They are just coming. They're just started in the last couple days in southern Michigan. Really this week. We got a heavy rain because we've been so dry. We're still a little dry. We'd like more rain, and we don't know if we're going to get any immediately.
No, I don't think so. But I haven't paid attention too much of local weather over the last week, other than making sure we're not getting any more frosts over the next week, because we're leaving town on Tuesday, which is part of the reason why I've been crazy busy. Valerie's Southeast Michigan. That's right. I think you were south of Detroit.
Bree asked, "Where is Bree?"
Where's Bree? Yes.
Bree is in France.
No. Washington, yes.
Okay, that's right.
The state.
Well, there's Morels in Washington for certain.
Definitely. You guys probably get a lot more than we do.
They get them a lot earlier than we do.
A little bit.
I mean, I don't know. We get an awful lot up north. But Washington's quite a bit ahead of us on those generally.
Yeah, but they also get a lot more moisture than we do. So they're done down in the south. You're right.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely done down there. May is the season for Morels in Michigan. So they are just starting. Absolutely. And we got, I didn't even count them.
About 12?
We got around a dozen, mostly small ones.
Yeah, they're small.
And there's a few different types that we got. So, okay, I should start at the beginning. We went foraging with Nabi again today. Nabi had her...
like 18 other people.
Yeah, she had her normal class. So this was not a private forage. She invited us to private forage with her last week, which was awesome to go for the reishi. But this week was just her regular class, and she invited us to go with them. And, of course, we got video of almost the entire thing, but I still need to edit, like, 5 videos from before. So I'm behind, and I am going to be behind for the next 2 weeks. I'll be probably, well, next week I'm probably not going to get anything done. because we'll be in Montreal. The week we get back, I'm going to try to get caught up on videos, but it's been absolutely insane trying to do that as well as get everything done this week. So I apologize. I only got one video out, but it was from 2 weekends ago now. When my niece came out here and we were planting seeds because she wanted to start her own garden at home. Now she's got a house in town in a smaller lot, so a lot more shade there. But if you haven't checked out that video, it's planting seeds with a 3-year-old.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we're both
been in the sun all day.
In the sun, exhausted. We didn't have too many storms here, so we got lucky.
Yeah, we got heavy storms midweek through Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, or mostly Thursday.
Yes, we got.
And it was pretty heavy. We missed some of the really severe storms that came through, but we
got a lot of rain.
We got a good amount of rain.
Yeah.
We needed it. We could have even taken more. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, so thirsty too. Been outside all day. So yeah, I did get that one video up. Thank you, Finite World, for planting that. For posting that. Oh boy, my mind's on planting. I do have a lot of stuff that we've been doing, so I'll just kind of run through what we've been doing this week. First of all, we did a video a little bit ago on soil blocks. I just want to give you a little update on that. I'll come back to Morels, by the way. I will come back to that and foraging. But just to get you caught up with what's been going on this week, since I haven't had time to do really any recent videos on this stuff. But our soil blocks are going well. These are tomatoes and peppers and ground cherries, and I think there's one okra plant in there. Tomatoes are going nuts. They love these soil blocks, and they are growing fast. In fact, I bought a 4-inch soil blocker and just got that. I don't know if I'll have time to transplant them tomorrow. Tomorrow's the only day left before we leave town, so I'm hoping I have enough time to put those, or at least some of them, in larger soil blocks before we leave town. But not sure if I'm going to be able to, because another project we have, find it, is because my dad's coming to town. I wanted to move all my my chickens in the coops. I want to move them closer to the house because my dad is going to be taking care of the chickens for us while we're out of town. And that way we'll move all the food just inside the house, and he'll only have to go out the back door and take care of them. But I only have one flock in that big tractor that we made last year, the chicken tractor. So we do have this. If you follow me on Instagram, by the way, you've seen this picture on Part-Time Permies Instagram. But we do have this window well that we just pulled out. We pulled out a window from our basement and put in a door. So I put a frame on wheels, and it's a little more framed in than this. It's actually completely framed in on either end. I need to get doors on it and walls or wire on either end. So that is in progress and close to being done, but needs a little bit more work to be done. So I'll have final pictures on Instagram if you want to check us out there. But that has to get done tomorrow because I got to move Gus and the Silkies into that and then move them closer to the house to make it easier on my dad. So that's probably the biggest thing tomorrow besides packing. Another thing we had happen this weekend, I had a hen sitting on eggs for a few weeks, and I was off in my count. I thought she was due to hatch last week for some reason, but she hatched this week. So thanks, Rose, on the for the. I think that's a comment on the new chicken tractor, but yeah, no, we have chicks too, and they're in a mobile coop. So I have 3 flocks really in 3 different coops because I have the mama and her chicks in one coop on their own. She had them out on grass the very first day, so you gotta check out Instagram. I had a little video on that. What day was that? Yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Friday
they hatched. Yesterday they were out on grass already. And so, yeah, Mama's taking care of them, doing well. I had given her 6 eggs, and she hatched 6 chicks. So 100% hat trade on that one, which is awesome. So that, I think, basically catches us up to today. And I mentioned we left at 8 o'clock in the morning to go to Battle Creek because there was... Oh, this is yesterday's market. Sorry.
This is farmer's market, which
This is farmer's market yesterday.
Opening day outdoor farmer's market, which was crazy.
We were busy yesterday, too. Went to farmer's market yesterday. Went to Battle Creek today for flea market. So we've been outside basically all weekend at markets as well. So that was kind of crazy. And then right after the flea market in Battle Creek, we left early from there because we thought it was supposed to actually end earlier than, I guess we mistaken that. It was supposed to go to 5 and we thought it was going to 3, and we had foraging at 3, so we left at 2:30, which...
Skipped out. Usually they don't like that.
Yeah, they don't like that
We
so
don't really
much.
have a contract on that one. It's sort of a semi-organized event.
Yeah.
So we don't usually ditch, but
and it was slow.
It was beyond slow.
That was like the farmer's market yesterday was awesome. It was great, but I think because we're supposed to get scattered rain showers, it was just so slow. I think we were saying we made like $20 an hour or something like that.
We sold like one package. We sold 1 or 2 customers an hour.
Yeah, it was bad.
So
we left.
We had to run to catch foraging, and so we shot across.
So we shot across town, and I'm trying to think if I...
Across southwest Michigan.
Across southwest Michigan, across town.
With a car completely loaded down with almost all the pasta that we brought, and our tents and our tables and everything
packed
else.
Up in the car.
Packed it back in like we never left and took off.
Went straight from Battle Creek, west of Kalamazoo, all the way to Bonamigo Farms, which is out west of Papa, if you guys know those areas at all, west of where we live. And went, and I'm trying to find a picture here, sorry. And we went foraging. So, of course, I didn't upload the one picture I was looking for, but of course we went foraging with Nobby. It was an organized foraging. It was awesome.
We did get bibimbap.
Yes, we did get bibimbap.
And we got miso soup with stinging nettles and tofu.
Yeah.
And we got gochujang, which spicy chili paste.
And oh boy, and
tincture of herbs.
Walnut tincture, and there was another.
That was really tasty.
Yeah, the walnut tincture was good.
That was really good.
And then we had some pie and some watermelon, which would not be local.
Yeah, somebody brought watermelon. It was actually sweet and it was very good.
It was good.
No watermelons yet.
No, not in this area. So if you guys are, and actually there were about, how many people were there? Like 16 or 18?
18 at one point, plus 3 or 4 kids. So
plus kids and a baby.
Really good group.
And there was someone coming from the east side of the state, from around Flint, to go foraging with us.
Yeah.
So there are people coming from all over the state. I did post, I don't know if you guys saw it on the Facebook page that we have. I did post, share a post of theirs that announced the foraging today. If any of you guys are local and you ever want to go on this, then check out their webpage for follow the Bonamigo Farms webpage, because they will announce when they're doing those forages.
They're doing it next week. Mother's Day weekend, They're going to do another one. One is Mother's Day weekend. There were special requests.
Yeah.
I figured people would be busy, but there's extra requests.
Requests for them.
And also because we're right in the middle of Morel's coming up and other things, that it's a good opportunity. That spring where everything's tender, there's a lot of edibles. So there's going to be a repeat next week.
Yeah.
And then usually monthly.
And it includes dinner. She takes you out foraging for 3 hours, and then she makes bibimbap every week, and the bibimbap has wild forage greens in there. She announced today that there were like 40 different wild greens that she had in her bibimbap. So if you guys don't know what bibimbap is, I guess you should probably... It's a Korean food.
It's a Korean food that's typically... It's a rice dish that usually has a variety of vegetables, fresh, pickled, and usually it's got a spicy gochujang, which is this chili paste.
Yeah.
And sometimes it has some toasted sesame or other things. And sometimes it has meat with it. Sometimes it doesn't.
Hers is always vegetarian.
This one's always vegetarian because there's so many forage items.
Can be vegan, but you have option for egg on top.
Yep, and it's not uncommon to put an egg on top. So it's a rice. Basically, it's a rice dish.
Yeah.
So this has dried, fresh, and pickled or fermented vegetables that are all included.
Yeah.
And then it's got a farm fresh egg on top, and chili and sesame to your likings, and kimchi also.
Yes, option for kimchi, option for spicy, and it's homemade kimchi and a homemade gochujang chili paste.
Of course, kimchi is just like sauerkraut. It's the same pickling fermentation
method.
It's
got some spices in it.
It's just got spices in it, and it has some garlic or ginger, usually some onion products, and so.
A quail egg
would be wonderful. You'd have to eat a few of them possibly, but yeah. So if you haven't had kimchi, it's a little funky, but it's
good.
Same process as sauerkraut, and it's amazingly tasty and healthy.
It's kind of a learned, I would say, acquired taste a little bit, because the first time I tried it, I didn't really like it that much, but I love the stuff now. But then again, I didn't like sauerkraut either, but now I like sauerkraut as long as it's fresh, I guess. If it's not like canned store-bought stuff.
Well, yeah, when they cook it, the fermentation and the pickling gets a lot harsher and more sour from the cooking. I don't mind canned sauerkraut, but I definitely like it fresh. So,
Valerie, congratulations for your daughter graduating as a nurse practitioner. My sister's a nurse practitioner. Actually, the mother of my niece, who was here last week, is a nurse practitioner. So that's cool. Okay, you love your quail are so cute. I've seen them, but I haven't watched the videos recently, so I know. I think the last one I watched, you were showing the stuff that Ryan was putting together. I'm assuming this is Rose on here. I shouldn't assume that, I guess, but that Ryan was putting together to put your that crib you were converting into a housing unit for your quail, which is a cool idea. I love reusing the stuff like that. So I'm just checking to see if we missed anything else, but I should show you pictures. Yes, we found morels as well as other things. So I'm going to start with one other thing. I don't have pictures of everything we found, but we found a lot of things. This one I just want to go through. Nabi calls this fiddlehead ferns. Fiddlehead is not actually technically a species. It's just the fern is, before it opens up, it's curled up on itself. This is, I believe, a bracken fern. I've looked up different types of ferns because she harvests two types. And this is, I believe, the bracken fern, where you have the 3 stems coming out that open up. So we harvested a bunch of that. That's edible. The other ones that are edible that we tend to find, she found some royal fern, which is another edible type. And hello, Texas boys. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't get a picture of, but she harvested.
That's your classic bigger curled one. It's a little more hairy.
Yeah.
And that's the one you typically see.
That one or ostrich fern?
Ostrich fern is what you see more in restaurants and sold as a forage item. These more tender ones are actually quite a treat. It's something I hadn't really had much of, but
the crayons love it.
I think there's a slight preference towards them because they are more delicate, but you need to get a lot of them.
Yeah. You have to, you can eat it. There's a lot of people who do eat it. Now, some people consider it, you don't want to eat it raw.
I made it here.
Hi.
Texas boys are in.
I have seen that some people call it, they say it's toxic too, but so many people eat the thing that I've not seen.
I think they're okay when they're very young before they open up. They do become toxic as they open up.
Absolutely.
They're not edible.
Cinnamon fern is what I forage. I don't know the cinnamon fern. Is probably down south. I'm not sure if it's up here. So it'd be interesting to look that one up.
But these ones that spread out in the 3 directions, is something that I really never paid attention to. I never saw them in restaurants.
Yeah. Working
with them, but they're actually quite nice. They're a little less woody. They're just more tender. They can be eaten. Yeah. They can be eaten fresh. Generally, you cook them, quick blanch them. They can be dried. You can pickle them. I pickled some last year. We saved them for a long time, for months. They were very good, actually.
Yeah, no, they were. And I have heard that some livestock can't eat them, or it can't eat too much of them, and too much of them can cause a problem. And that might be the same thing for humans. You don't want to eat them all the time, but there are many cultures that eat bracken fern left and right. So there is some debate on that one, but I like it, so I'll eat it.
Yeah, we only eat them
When they're
for
young.
that very short period of time because
Yeah.
they open in a matter of days.
Yep.
So as a regular part of the diet, you're probably eating them. I've seen them frozen actually, but
Yeah.
you're usually eating them in a couple meals at most a year, and then you're on to something else.
Yeah. So other things we found that I don't have pictures of right now, and literally I was uploading pictures in the last 15 minutes trying to get this ready here. So I don't have pictures of everything. But other things we definitely found wild onions everywhere. Spring onions are absolutely everywhere. But Nabi did have a few ideas on saving it, like drying it and chopping it up and just saving dried onions. She freezes them and then chops them up, then freezes them, and then you break them apart. And she says she takes some and keeps them in a jar in her, in her kitchen freezer. But she also has some in her chest, a bunch of them in her chest freezer. So she'll just keep refilling the jar in her kitchen freezer and use them straight from that jar.
We dehydrated a bunch last year. We actually haven't eaten most of them. I need to dig into them.
The wild onions?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the fiddleheads.
Oh no, we still have fiddleheads from
we
last year.
Yeah. And the wild onions, of course.
Yes, poke. We did not see poke yet. Poke does come up around
Poke will
here.
be coming. It's been a little dry. Poke really likes the water.
And it'll come. We have some, but it'll come probably in the next month.
Yeah.
We did see, let's see, sweet Sicily, which has this kind of sweet licorice
It looks
flavor.
like a wild
Chervil?
Wild chervil.
Yeah.
But we actually found a large one, which I've never seen, and it had a large root on it, which you eat the root as much as anything. And the leaf pattern looked like fennel.
Yeah, it was kind of like how it comes out of the ground.
It's in the same family, same flavors, but it looked like a mini fennel, which was very cool.
And then what else did we see today? We had, of course, you had your dandelion. In fact, we ate dandelion. She battered them and fried the dandelion flowers, which was actually you fried them.
I fried them. I was handed a nice little,
batter.
just a simple battering, like a pancake style batter, crepe batter. And yeah, just the dandelions as they're open, not completely fully open, but they are, still firm yellow flower.
Valerie, my dehydrator I usually use is called a screen. I just set them out and let things dry, air dry. Most of the time, we do have a dehydrator that I used a long time. I just haven't used. It's not very big.
It's not very big. Yeah.
It's just this tiny little thing. It was. I think it's supposed to be for
things
dog
out
treats.
in the sun. So
out in the sun. Well, some things you want to actually dry in the shade, but just somewhere with a lot of airflow. So we have the screen that you can put things on, or you can hang things. A lot of times you can hang your herbs. My neighbor calls it making her kitchen window curtains. She is a herb curtain that she does because she hangs them right in the window there. But yeah, you can use dehydrator too. Pokeweed is one that you can only eat when it's young, so it's one you can't eat when it gets older. But yeah, if you look that one up,
poke salad. Yep.
Yeah, poke salad, and I think that it's the same thing as poke salad, pokeweed, or just poke. I've heard actually, what's his name? Daryl Patton was calling it poke salad. Nabi calls it pokeweed. I've heard more pokeweed up here, but they were referring to the same plant.
What else have we found?
Spring beauty. Spring beauty's up everywhere.
Of course.
Early one.
Rose and raspberry leaves when they're very young are edible.
And you can use them, dry them, and make tea from the leaves.
Red bud off of red bud trees.
Yeah, we're eating red buds.
The flowers, which are really...
The buds for the flowers?
Slightly before they open.
Yeah.
We're just getting Asian pear and peach blossoms and apple blossoms just started this week. They are edible very briefly.
And we also had...
garlic mustard, of course.
Yes, we had garlic mustard.
We had an interesting discussion about that. Violets. The discussion was everybody's trying to pull the garlic mustard because it's invasive. Louis, who's the farmer, owns the farm, says, look, whenever you clear a new area, you get these invasive species that come in. You get
Disturb
garlic
sites.
mustard for 2 or 3 years, and he goes, and you know what? And then
And
this
then it goes
appears,
away.
and you can hardly find it. He goes, don't worry about it. It'll go away. Something else will replace it. So that's an alternative view to everybody that's complaining about
invasive.
the garlic mustard takeover.
Yeah.
There was...
They just like the disturbed sites. I mean,
Yeah.
many of things that we consider invasive is just invasive because they do well in newly disturbed soil. So they're only moving into the area because we took out what was already there. But anyway, I could go on about that. I don't.
And we found, what was the arugula dock? Was it?
No. We did find Doc. We found Doc.
But we also, what was?
There was something she was explaining like arugula, but not arugula.
Yeah, but she called it something arugula.
I don't know. I must have missed that one.
I thought it was arugula. That was one of the first things we grabbed. That was arugula dock.
Because there was a dock that she actually ate the leaves of, and she didn't know the specific type of dock it was, but it had oval leaves on it. So it wasn't a burdock or a curly dock or a yellow dock, but that was another one. We did eat burdock as well. We had burdock root kind of dipped in gochujang, which was good. Anything with gochujang is good, but burdock root is actually pretty tasty in of itself. There's, oh my gosh, we could probably go through. I have to go through the video to remember.
The dead nettle.
Dead nettle was in there.
Either eaten very young or tea.
Yep.
You had the cleaver, which is very annoying because it grabs onto everything. But when it's very young, it's kind of watery and juicy. As it gets
it's full of vitamin C.
As it gets a little older, it quickly becomes much more fibrous and rough and not
good.
Tasty.
But it's actually pretty tasty when you have those new shoots. So yeah, we have cleavers. We actually have some here. But of course, we were going out because it's now Morel season in Michigan.
It's right on time, heading into Mother's Day or the beginning of May.
Morels in May in Michigan, definitely.
And they will run anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, typically, maybe 5 weeks, really depending on how fast it gets hot and how much we get consistent soaking rain.
And we found, I think, 2 different types while we're out, but we also found one here at home. So I'll show you a picture of our Morel. This is just what we came home with. There were 18 people there, and everybody got some Morels.
Got a few. They're sparse. They're not. We spent a lot of time. They're not easy to find.
Yeah.
They will hopefully. It's just the beginning for our area, but they're out there.
So there's 3 types in here. The big one actually came from our home
under an apple tree.
Yes.
And we found a few there last year. The big one is a pale or a golden Morel, which tend to come first. So they're not uncommon to...
Yeah, and I have it here, actually, if it'll focus on that. But, yeah, you can actually...
It's about 3 inches tall. I mean, it's really clean, no decay, no bugs.
The hollow, under the stem being hollow is actually key. There's really not anything that looks just like this. The other 2 types, this, I believe, is a black one.
That's a brown or a black one.
And, again, this stem's clogged, but there's a hole in the middle.
The brown and the black come just slightly after these pale ones. People have different preferences. A lot of times the black is preferred.
And this one's not as preferred of one, but
it's a different variant. It's not a false Morel. It is a Morel, but it's a little more rounded.
Focus. Not on us. Focus on my hand. Maybe. I'm sorry, guys. Tried. But it's also got a hollow stem. Yeah.
So there is, I was doing some looking at it, and as you go through the season, wherever you're at, you'll start out with the golden and you'll progress through different colors. And it's typical.
Slightly different locations, too.
Yeah, they grow under different things, but you'll find that there are the 4 or 5 or 6 classically identifiable ones. I was doing some reading last winter. If I remember right, there's a professor that said he had identified like 30 or 40 distinct species of morels.
Yeah.
And he believes there may be even more. And some of them are even kind of funny, some of them are uncertain, so people don't eat them. But there is a lot more detailed work that could be done. We just tend to call them, morels. So. Do we soak them in salt water to remove the bugs? These seem pretty much bug-free.
Yeah.
Anytime you're going to clean a mushroom, you want to clean it right before you cook it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do anything at all. I would put them in a
Usually
paper
just
bag.
brush them off.
Yep. Well, morels are very hard to brush off.
Yeah, because they're so
Typically,
grooved.
a firmer mushroom, you just use a brush or your finger to brush them off. Morels can be very, very sandy. And they can also get bugs will get in there, and you can even get like fly larvae of different types will start growing and crawling out of them a few days later if they're infected. They're frequently not. So
You want to use them right
I've
away.
had commercial ones where you put them in the cooler, and 2 days later you go in and you got little maggoty type things growing all over them. And they weren't there when they got shipped down. You're like, well, you call up the guy and you can say, I can't use these. The sand you can get out. The sand you can rinse them, and you have to, as carefully as possible, agitate them without damaging them, and then drain them out on some paper, and then cook them as soon as possible, because that crunch of sand really ruins it.
Yeah.
The salt water will drive out bugs, but I think morels in general, you can see, like they'll get bugs in the
hole.
down in the hole. You gotta look for
Stem.
ants, worms, just general stuff. None of it will really hurt you. It's just undesirable. And then you gotta look through the crevices.
But if you're cutting it up too,
Depends on if you're cutting it up.
yeah, you can also get them out of that stem hole. If you're
I
slicing
tend to. Sometimes if they're small, I will cook them whole. Otherwise, I like to have them just so I can get butter or oil in them. I prefer butter, but olive oil works.
And we'll probably eat these for dinner tomorrow night.
Probably.
Because
that's the plan.
We're leaving Tuesday. So, simple. What are we going to have with our morels tomorrow?
I haven't decided yet. I don't know.
We were talking about a couple things on the way home. The simplest thing.
I mean, a lot of times I do want to saute them in butter. I don't need to brown them dramatically, but I just want the butter to soak up the flavor. The fat carries into the mushroom, and then it brings the flavor out
to the rest of the dish.
Into the butter, and then it really bathes whatever you're putting it with. I mean, you can put it into brown sauces or gravies. It'll do that also.
Could you do like chop it up and put it in some clarified butter and then freeze it?
You don't need to clarify the butter.
Or just in melted butter.
You could put in melted butter and saute it and freeze them in blocks, or make a compound butter where you whip it in there and freeze it. By freezing it in a fat, you prevent it from freezer burning. That's the advantage. You lock in any of those, and some of those volatile flavors may escape. So if you lock it in fat, it won't escape. You can dehydrate or freeze morels. They dehydrate very nicely.
They'll shrink a lot.
They'll shrink dramatically by 4 times. You can hang them on strings or threads and just dehydrate them, or you can put them on a dehydrator. But yeah, I really like using some form of nice fat, duck fat, or butter. Olive oil works, but then you get the olive oil flavor, and that may not be preferred. You really want to focus on the mushroom flavor. And then that'll coat whatever else you're cooking. So it's also nice to sauteed and put over meat products. We have a little venison.
Oh.
I have to get it thawed out from the neighbor.
Maybe. My dad's
Morels and venison. I think your dad might eat those.
I think my dad would eat those.
Maybe I should try and hurry up and thaw some.
Maybe you should. My dad's coming tomorrow to get the rundown on what his job is. Taking care of
keep the
animals.
Chickens alive
and keep our tomatoes alive and keep our cat alive and
the cat will be fine. He just wants to be played with.
Yeah.
He does need food, but he'll be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's been a crazy week, and I have now 2 foraging videos to edit and your farm visit video or 2 to edit, and I've started kind of going through that a little bit, but
you can edit them in French in Quebec next week.
I don't speak I know a phrase or 2 in French. That's
Google Translator solves all problems. It's a little choppy, but it works.
Oh my gosh, I saw something that was hilarious using Google Translator, but that's a whole nother story, and that was another YouTube channel.
Is he going to make a video? I doubt it. He's been in a few videos.
He has been in a few videos, especially helping me build things. But unless he's going to help me finish up building this coop, I have been not videotaping my entire... Wow, videotaping, that's like old school.
That would be your dad.
That would be my dad videotaping us eating.
Guy.
But no, I have been doing little summary excerpts of my build on the newest tractor, chicken tractor, and taking some still pictures. So I'll probably throw that together in a video, but I'm not actually videoing while I'm doing it because I'm trying to do it quickly. The problem with doing videos is it does slow you down because you're thinking about what angle to put the camera when and trying to change it so it's not so boring, you know. But that I will be another video I need to edit. So none of this editing is probably going to get done, unfortunately, until we get back. What we will try to do, though, for those you guys follow on Instagram, we'll try to get some pictures up from Montreal because we do, when we go there, it's one of the best food cities in North America, and we go explore. So what I will try to do is get a lot of pictures in Montreal, maybe some video in Montreal, which just gives me more to have to edit, but that's all right. And then
Rose is on her way out.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see you next time, Rose. But we will have a live show when we get back next Sunday, if I'm not going insane by then. We arrive back early afternoon on Sunday, I want to say. So what I'll try to do is just pull together a few pictures from the trip, and we'll do the live show. It won't be foraging next week, but
not that I know of. We're gonna do. I think we're set up to do a 4-hour Chinatown tour.
Yes,
I was trying to do that midweek so I could work on another tour, another food-related tour, but there isn't really much going on midweek because there isn't enough people right now to sign up.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be able to do it if it's midweek.
So.
But he's on vacation. I'm at a conference.
Trying to get a couple of these specialty food tours that I use them to get into a neighborhood or get into an area and learn about it, and then I can do a little more work. Because when you go to a new city, you don't know where anything is. You gotta get introductions and guidance. Go check this out, and then they'll start telling you about. Well, go spend more time and go check this other thing out, or go. So.
Well, last time you found better bagel shops than we ever found in New York City.
Montreal, by the way, has some of the best bagels in the country and
in the
continent. So, they do.
There's a Jewish neighborhood there.
Well, yeah, it's an industrial neighborhood. It's an artist colony and a traditional Jewish and somewhat Middle Eastern. They have a bunch of Middle Eastern food. And so anyways, that has some amazingly good food. And they have a bagel shop that's been operating, one of 2 or 3, and they do a saltwater boiled bagel. And and they just do plain or sesame. We had them straight out of their, I think a wood-fired oven, old oven that they use, and that's all they make. Very simple, 2 varieties. And I got to tell you, it was among the very best bagels they've ever had.
So, weather right now, they're like the high tomorrow is 58. Tuesday 69, Wednesday 73, 71, and then drops to 55, 56. 50. It's spring, so it's further north than we are here. But it's going to be...
Except for it's all going to be in Celsius or centigrade, so you're...
Yeah, you have to do your...
So that would be
this is...
Boiling.
Yeah, right? No, this isn't Fahrenheit.
Overheated.
This is my American app. But, yeah, right?
Yeah, it should be decent weather, especially for that time. And
50s to 70s is, perfect, so, for May.
So we'll be doing some food foraging and cultural foraging and looking for good nibbles, but we're not really going to get out of the city. So it'll be more like digging for... Last time I went foraging, so 10 years ago... it was 10 years ago on our first trip. I got this encyclopedia of Canadian cuisine that's sitting on the shelf right next to me.
Oh, yeah.
It's this monster thing I bought used, and I was at a little used bookshop, and I grabbed it, and the guy's like $30, $35, and I'm like, I'll figure out how to get it in my bag back, and I think it was 35 Canadian. Well, I still haven't spent a lot of time, but it's this, I didn't know there was this cool thing on Canadian cuisine, so that sits on the shelf.
We have 3 bookshelves of cooking books. Mm-hmm. So there was a question on Frugal Family Food at one point. Does anybody still use cookbooks? And I'm sorry going, I took a picture of one of our large ones. This one is about 6 feet tall and about 5 feet wide, and it's full of cookbooks, and there's 2 more bookshelves like that.
Breakaway Homesteader is here.
Hi. Hello. Good evening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, cookbooks are. I think they're still very valid. They're probably one of the better books. I would rather have them in paper. I don't want them in digital because they're hard to use them. You want to feel them and look at them. Um,
I flip through them and
yeah, I mean, I don't use them recipe for recipe, but I use them for ideas
yeah,
and I use them to learn about things. So
yeah.
I find that cookbooks are very relevant.
And you learn about other cultures that way too, cultural foods. So Breakaway Homesteader has stacks.
That's
Yes.
good. Stacks of cookbooks are good.
Yep.
They're actually one of the more valuable and usable. Most books lose most of their value. Actually, cookbooks lose a lot of their value too, but they are one of, instead of having almost no value as a used item, they're really desirable.
I was looking on eBay. There's some really nice Victorian cookbooks, but they're like a few $100s. I'm not spending on that.
You got to find the right price.
Yeah.
Actually, I found some used bookstores, books that were $30 and $40 when they were new, like hotshot restaurants. They were showing off
Yeah.
the type of cuisine or their style at a certain moment. That can be $30 or $40, like, or $60, like the French Laundry Cookbook from the late '90s, early 2000s. You can pull them on certain used bookstore sites for $5, $10. They very quickly lose that value, and now you get these awesome. And I don't get them in mint condition because I'm going to thumb through them and use them. I want them in good or very good condition, but I don't need them perfect because I might get a thumbprint on them or bring them in the kitchen.
Yeah.
If I'm doing something too messy, I try and take a photocopy of it,
Yeah.
or a phone copy and then work off of that. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to guarantee they're going to be kept in perfect condition.
Yeah. So, anyway, Aim High cookbooks. Well, all books. A lot of cookbooks, including a great grandmother's. That's cool. Yeah, you have a family one as well.
We have a family compilation one. I don't have a family one like somebody cooked out of daily that has all their notes and add in recipes. I don't have anything like that. My mother has an old Joy of Cooking and an old Betty Crocker when Betty Crocker was actually a useful book. Now it's I mean, it is useful, but it's so simplified. It's not really a culinary text. It's just a how-to basic book. But she used those regularly and probably still does. And but yeah, I have a lot of heritage books and used books that have scribbles and notes from people that own them.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're finally, I don't know, trying to get things wrapped up tomorrow before we make this trip. We'll be exploring a nice food city. It won't be. Oh, they have a lot of markets there in Montreal.
They have 2 markets that operate, I think,
ones.
6 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have one on either end of town.
Hi, Food
and
Forest.
they're amazing. They're incredible markets.
Yeah.
They're true wholesale retail where wholesale trucks come in and they go out to the local stores and restaurants. And they're not just showpiece markets. And then, of course, they have a retail component.
Yeah. So we'll be doing. I'm sure you're going to be walking around a lot this week.
As long as it's not pouring rain too much.
It looks nice.
I don't have any particular agenda. I need to actually work on some of those things shortly, but I'm on my feet chasing stuff. I got some work to do. I have my computer with me, and I got some projects I need to do. If we get a really rainy day, I will do that.
Yeah.
Chef. Well, I like to cook.
Yeah.
And I like to eat, so that's probably.
He was pre-med when I met him.
Yeah. So a lot of cooking is, it's chemistry and technique. So there's aspects of chemistry and physics. There's a lot of biology of understanding things and grouping them and how do you use them. Yeah. And it's also. It's hands-on, so it's more a craft or a skill than an art. But it's an intellectual art where you need to use your brain, and then you can use your hands to perform and create things. Yeah. You need to know about the item, and you need to know about the techniques. You need to analyze them, and then you need to execute those techniques. And somewhere in between that, there can be small moments of artistic or creativity where you can sort of build upon, just more than just a craft. So the combination of doing and understanding it, I think, is very useful and practical.
Yeah. Finite World, I love Montreal. Took the train from Windsor before. Wow, yeah. Yep. Haven't done that train ride. I've always driven into Canada, so.
Yeah, cooking definitely brings people together. It's I've said this before that It's a really good way to bring people together that have nothing in common.
Yeah.
In fact, may be
Other than food they like.
may completely disagree on many topics and subjects, but it gives them something to enjoy together and something to talk about and express what they like or what their sort of heritage and background and traditions are. And people aren't very critical about food. You can kind of not prefer certain things, but you leave them, just say that's not the way I make it, or I don't like it that way. It's not really. It's a very emotional thing, but it doesn't tend to get people very riled up. Now, if you get two cooks or two chefs in the room, they can get pretty excited and pretty.
They want to control the kitchen.
They can get pretty animated with each other about who did it right, or is it technically this preparation or that, or can you really call it such? But that's
getting technical.
Yeah, that's kind of showboating into technicalities. But food is a fairly safe playground to work with a large group of people and get people to appreciate each other. So it's a useful tool.
You used to say you used to always like to hang out in the kitchen because that's where, a lot of the family would get together and work on things together and stuff too, in a way.
Yeah, well, my mother and my
For
grandmother
holidays.
both cooked a lot. On one side of the family, almost everybody cooks and does something. So yeah, there's a lot of action and a lot going on. So it's a good place to hang out. So.
Yeah. So and everything we do on our channel basically ends up being what can lead to the table.
I would say yeah, we're pretty much our growing and our foraging is food focused.
I'm interested in obviously the medicine side of things too, but it's not something I really know about when we're coming to forage stuff. I have to look it up, which I haven't had time to in the last couple of weeks. So that's kind of what we're just focusing on, more the edible than the medicinal at the moment. Planet World Rail overnight to Montreal. Only drawback is a large luggage.
Yeah, your large luggage goes on, but yeah. Train's great fun. We took the train a lot on the Detroit to Chicago run as kids. Haven't done that in a long time. It actually passes within a mile of our house right now.
My family sometimes does that to come visit us because Ann Arbor and Plymouth and stuff, they have their stops along the Detroit to Chicago line, and we're Kalamazoo. I actually work 2 blocks from the Kalamazoo train station.
So this is trivia. The Kalamazoo train station is exactly 1 mile off from the middle point between Detroit and Chicago train station.
Yep.
And I can't remember. I think it's 1 mile closer to Detroit, but I can't remember for certain on that.
It's almost exactly the middle.
Now, people rarely go all the way to Detroit and use the Detroit train station, and not more people go to the Chicago train station, but more people get off on either end in between. There's about 10 stops or so, I think, and so it's a great way to get across Michigan.
Yeah. Valerie, I love to cook, but I'm not a techie person. My main ingredient is love.
Yeah, you don't have to be techie. Understanding techniques and some of the technical ways to solve problems or why things work really helps you become a better cook, because you know that certain things are flexible and certain things, if I do this, that will happen. Or if I have this a certain problem, I can change and fix that problem by adding more of something else. Yeah. That's sort of where, or how you change a batter so it becomes thinner or more cakey, or baking really that's where it gets technical. But hot cuisine, it's how do I develop flavor, how do I develop color, how do I break down a tough piece of meat, how do I handle a tender piece of meat.
And if you watch the cooking demos, a lot of times it's hard. It's actually hard for me sometimes to try to say, okay, what people want the recipe. What's the recipe? I'm like, I can list the ingredients, but there's usually so many alternatives, and you often talk about you could do this instead of that. If you're gluten-free, you could do this. If you're vegetarian, you could leave this part out. And
recipes, it's a pathway and it gives you options. Yeah, I don't think people shouldn't feel like that they have to follow a recipe. When people, and it's rare that people do this, I met one woman, this is hilarious. I met one woman who said she married into a family that cooked a lot, and as soon as she got married, her husband expected that she would have dinner every night. She came a family that hardly cooked, and so she would watch Martha Stewart and other people, and Julia Child, or maybe it was Julia Child, which is probably better cooking. It was Julia Child, and she would jot down verbatim from the mid-morning television show the item,
The recipe.
and she'd say
Go out
about
and buy it
2
that
days
day.
later, yeah, either that day or 2 days, 1 or 2 days later, she would go to the store, she would buy all the things, and I think she even was recording on like VHS tape,
Yeah.
and she would play it back and she would try and cook it, and she learned to cook, literally learned to cook through Julia
Watching
Child, like the movie
Yeah.
Julia, and some of the stuff was amazing, some of it didn't work, some of it was kind of weird. And I was just, she was telling me this, it was just astounding that
That's how she learned to
that's how she learned to cook. And I'm like, God, she must have had quite a budget.
Yeah.
Because to go to the grocery store and say, the recipe says I need all these things, and then in or out of season trying to locate them, put them all together and make that dish, I don't think is practical. So what I do is I start out with, what's the protein that I have? Now, many times it's meat, but it may be other things. Or what are the main ingredients? What do I want to make with it? Or what else do I have? And then I start thinking about starch and vegetable. The classic is protein, starch, vegetable. We don't, how we talk about building traditional plates. So what goes with, and then you have a sauce which brings it all together. And it might be 2 vegetables, or it might be a hash. You know, when you got a lot of things in the fridge and nothing works, and you don't know what to do, you can always make a hash. You can put anything in a hash.
Yeah.
Starch, protein, and veg.
Yep. You can get mad at me because they want a recipe but don't always measure. Yeah, actually, I was the Frugal Family Food video that we did. I kept asking them as we were recording. I was like, so how much oil did you put in? So how much of this did you put in? Just so we had, because I knew a lot of people like measurements, and I know he's kind of just eyeballing it. So I was like, just to get an approximation.
Yeah, and that's helpful as a guide, but people have different pans and they have different things. So some of those things, and that's the other issue why recipes don't work, is your equipment and your circumstances, your heat level, whatever, don't create the same situation. So the quantities come out differently, and spicing is really hard. Also, your spices could be 2 or 3 years.
Before you go, I think you missed this part. These are out, the Morels, because I think he came in at the end or after that.
And that's the biggest one we found.
That was the biggest.
That's a beautiful one.
That was the biggest one we found.
Most of them are this inch and a half, or we even left some behind that need some time, and we didn't want to pick them.
Yeah, and the biggest one we found on our property.
Yep.
So anyway, figured I'd throw that out there. You need a hash. Which kind of hash? Oh boy, we're not going there.
Yeah, well, hash is great because you take your leftover cooked off meat, pulled meat, whatever it is you've got.
Put it with potato.
You figure out something that's a starch vegetable, like a potato, a sweet potato, even turnips and rutabagas and roasted root vegetables, whatever. You take that. You can add in greens. Or other things that you have left over or fresh. You bring it all together. You could use 2 or 3 things. You could even add in a firm fruit. You use a flavorful oil, or you add in another flavorful thing like a little bit of bacon, or bacon fat. Or you just cook it in some bacon fat. You add some fresh or dried herbs. You bring together 3 or 4 leftovers. You add in a couple more things, and then you either you serve it with something else, or you mold it. You can mold it into cakes. And make like a little griddled.
Careful, and you're now talking about molding hash.
Yes, you can. Well, hash is a cake.
Yes.
You can then sear that little cake off or bake it off.
Yep.
Or you coat it with a little flour. So
get it brown.
Brown it off. You can do all kinds of things with it. Eat it as its own thing. You can bake it. You can always crack eggs over it, and so you can make a meal out of almost nothing. You can really stretch a meal. You can get it into something wonderful that would be very hard to make on its own. Cauliflower, yes, cauliflower works great. Fresh or roasted. Cauliflower is we've talked about it as it sears. It's very sweet and caramely. So
cauliflower is good.
Hash, cook a couple fresh things, and then we're like, well, food budget's getting a little heavy this week. We've spent the food budget, and I got a lot of leftovers. And then you can start adding fun things in, hot sauces, nuts and seeds, and you just get wild. And there's things that don't belong in there, but it gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of stretch, and you can use a little bit of meat and still get big flavors.
Yep. And Noah's Ark, yes, this one has walked across our yard quite a bit. So
I actually did. I kind of shook I don't know if it's quite big enough to spore yet. I
It
don't
might be about
see anything,
yeah.
but it's getting close. But I did actually turn it over and give it a little shake, real close
Yeah.
to where they tend to show up.
You
And
know what Nabi did? She actually took one that was almost this big that we found, and she took the ground underneath it
yes,
with it, and she's going to take it and try to plant it somewhere
I've seen her do
closer.
that
She's
before.
done
I've
that a
seen her
few
actually
times.
sell them in the market, just a few of them,
Yes, go and plant them.
for people to transplant them into hopefully a
Plant
desirable
them.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
spore them. Yeah.
oh, thanks, Bree. um, and he gets wild. I don't know what that's in reference to. You mean the reference to him getting wild in the kitchen? Yeah, likes to experiment anyway. So I think you said that
We
actually.
made
Get
ramp.
wild with the hash.
Yes. Yes.
um,
We made ramp and stinging nettle quiche with our eggs.
Good.
Forage ramps and stinging nettle. Stinging nettle were very small, nice, tender ones. They've been
Yeah.
sitting in the fridge, unfortunately, 3 weeks. And I'm like, before these things go bad, I can't believe they're sitting here. I got to use them. So I blanched them. And then I sauteed them with the ramps, the tops and the bottoms, in a little bit of olive oil. I have a very rich quiche.
I've been eating it for breakfast all week.
Yep, and it's a black pepper crust and a real tall New York deli style quiche, and it's got enough egg and egg yolks in it. It will hold anything. I don't care how fatty, how wet. It will pretty much hold on to anything. So you can just in the New York style one, you just jam it full of stuff. And then I did have a little bacon that was sitting around left over. And then I had a couple pieces of Swiss cheese, and I snuck in there because Cindy doesn't like Swiss cheese,
No.
and so I snuck that in there.
I like good Swiss cheese. I just think that everyday stuff tastes like plastic to me.
Yeah. Well, you get an Emmenthal or a Gruyere, which are Swiss style, and then it's aged.
But anyway, so yeah, we've been trying to shake those spores out through the yard because last year was so dry, but we had one about the size almost growing under one of our
We
dead
had
apple trees.
2 or 3 that were large, almost that
But
size.
most of them were under our neighbors, which the neighbor actually gave us permission to take any morels from under the apple trees. So this one came from their house because they said they wouldn't be using it.
They really don't eat them. I'm like, look, if I find any, I will give them to you. I will share them with you, whatever you want.
Yeah.
He's like, take them.
Take them. You
I'm
know
like,
what to
great.
do with them. Yep.
I don't know if he's a mushroom eater, so
I don't know.
I sent him a picture this evening, actually, right before the
Oh, you
live
did?
show.
Yeah.
That we're 1 minute to go, and I was just sending a picture. Hey, look what we found.
Yep.
But it's just one.
Yeah. Well,
So-
there a couple other little ones growing there.
Yeah, there's 2 very, very little ones that we'll
So
try and
left.
take a look at.
Yeah. So I'll have to look tomorrow and see what they look like.
We love cheese too. So this is good trivia. When you go to Canada, Canada has a hard time getting a lot of variety of cheeses. There is a cheese quota that can be imported because there is a good dairy industry in Canada, and there is complaints that whether they're getting inundated with probably American cheeses. But there is an embargo, or not an embargo, but there is a quota on how many pounds of import cheese. So that means a lot of the world cheeses are in short supply or do not come into Canada, which I did not know. Because when it comes to other things, like French wines, they're cheaper because the tariffs and the exchange rates on the trade of wine we pay a very high tax here, and in Canada it's a lower tax. So you can actually buy a nice bottle of French wine a little cheaper in Canada. They have amazing. I'll take pictures, pâtés and terrines and different sausages hanging in the market. They're way ahead of us. It looks like you're in Europe. I think we talked about that a couple weeks ago. So maybe that'll be my forage. I'll go to the Jean Talleyrand market, I think it is the big one.
Yeah.
And then there's Little Italy off of there and some other things. And then you get further out and you have this artist community. They claim it is the largest artisan community in North America. They have a rent-controlled number of buildings, and it's old warehouse district, and they encourage artists from around the world to take up residence, and they actually subsidize their rent in these small studios, and so it's become one of the most thriving art communities, and it would get out of control expensive like other areas in the U.S. where the real artists can't afford to be there. Only the ones that got hotshot rich, and then the other people that moved in can be there. So they've protected that for like a 30-year rent control or something. They said so. French champagne is cheaper in Windsor. Yeah. $2
chuck wine.
I bought some $3 wine at Aldi's, which is actually.
Is that what you used in Coq Vin?
No, it was not. I bought about. That was maybe a $4 or $5 because I actually bought at the local store. I was looking for something from Michigan because everything else was from Michigan on our property. I couldn't find anything. We have a number of wineries in our area, but even the cheapest stuff was like $12, and the local wines are very small, so they're a little overpriced. They're not bad, but I think they're a little overpriced. And I was not going to pour a $10 or $12 bottle of wine into Coq Vin, so it was a $5.
Yeah.
But I did just buy some $3 bottles at Aldi's. We just got a Trader Joe's in the last year, 6 months ago. So that's the classic $2, $3 chuck, and then they have the finer ones. But Aldi's does, and that same brothers of the same family, so they carry some similar products. In fact, we had a Pinot Grigio that was $3 a few days ago. Yeah. When you're talking about certain varieties, are expensive because they're rare and they're aged in oak and whatever. But when you're talking about some of the lighter white wines, especially Pinot Grigio, they make tons of it. You don't need a $25 Pinot Grigio. Actually, like a $12 one or $15 one might taste a little better than a $3 one, but you feel pretty good when it's like, 50 to 75 cents for a glass of wine. Yeah. You can cook with that. You can do it. That's actually a good deal. In most of the world, that's what they drink. And the definition of fine wine, at least this goes back probably 10 years ago. I haven't checked. Legally or tax-wise, anything over $5 a bottle, that's a 3/4 of a liter, 0.75, is considered fine wine. So don't feel bad. If it's over $5, you're drinking fine wine. Fine wine, yep. If it comes in a box, well, there's some good stuff in boxes. If it comes in the big box, you may be pressing the fine wine, but that actually cooks very well, and you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So it's just not very unique.
Anyway, so any other questions? I flew through some of the stuff that I've been working on. It's just been absolutely insane. But my suggestion is, just because it's been so busy here, and next week we'll be in Montreal, and the week after I'll start working on editing videos again. But keep your eye on the Instagram page, or all the Instagram photos.
Yep.
All those are shared on our Facebook
Part-Time Permies
page as well.
Has a good Instagram. I have a personal MICRMUR, as in Mick Armour. I run personal Instagram. It's not real active, but a few times a week, and it's
you put the quiche on there.
It's mostly food related. I'd say it's 80% food related. I run a business one, but it's going to be pasta.
Yeah,
it's just
pasta.
There's some creative things, but there's also a lot of market things. Yeah. But if you're looking for what food stuff's going on in Montreal, it may end up on my Instagram.
Yeah. Because during the week I'm at the conference, so I'll be just.
She's working.
I'm getting paid and working on this trip, but conference ends on Friday early afternoon, so we'll be going out Friday night. We'll be hanging out all day Saturday, and that's
Cindy's birthday is this weekend coming up, so.
Yeah, my birthday's next Friday, so we're going out Friday night to Joe Beef, which is supposed to be really good, so we'll see.
Supposed to be, so we're looking forward to it. And then we got we'll be flying back in Sunday
morning to midday.
I think late morning, midday by the time we get done with everything. So we should have a live show unless things are really a wreck. Or we get weather delayed. But.
Yeah. And I'll be able to tell you whether or not all my plants and animals survive. No, I'm joking. My dad will do fine on that. But yeah, I do have. I was wondering, because I was seriously a week off, and my chick due date, I was just like, didn't write it down, and was just trying to, but it was so busy that it didn't keep a close tab on it. And I was thinking they were supposed to hatch a week before, and I was thinking it was a complete fail hatch, and I just let her sit, because I didn't have time to move her.
But we get like 90% in February when it's -3, so to have nothing hatch is crazy.
Yeah, and I was
like, the
Well,
mother doesn't get off of them. So
I'll just let her go until Saturday. It's fine. Anyway, because when I had the hen sitting on goose eggs, they are 4 weeks until hatch. So, and they were fine on that. So I was like, oh, I'll just leave her because I just don't have time to, do the move back and check the eggs. I didn't candle them or anything, so I just let it go. But ended up with 6 chicks. Now that means that we're gonna have to plan another butchery day because we have too many chickens.
We're getting too many eggs, too many chickens. But that's fine. We need something in the freezer, so
we need some meat
take
birds.
a few out.
The
last batch went a long time because of cold weather, so they're fairly tough. They're braisers. You're not sautéing them. You're not even roasting them.
But they have a good flavor.
They have great flavor. They have nice gelatin. They're very tasty. You just can't use them in a lot of ways. So we may catch some a little younger. So.
Aw, hope your daughter had a happy birthday, Aim High. Yeah, that was the first anniversary, the 9th. There's a lot of May stuff. My birthday's the 11th. My mother-in-law's birthday's the 11th. And if she's watching, happy birthday and thank you for the gift. I did open that. Because
she watches sometimes live, sometimes later.
Yeah, and then one of my sister's birthday is the 16th, so it's just a busy, busy, busy time. Hello, Possible Dreams Homestead. We're just
kind of wrapping up, but we're chatting for a couple minutes, so.
Yeah, so we were definitely just kind of wrapping up here. But so I do apologize for this next week if we don't get any video out. But keep your eye on Instagram and on our Facebook page because we'll definitely have updates there. And then yours is Mick R. Murr on Instagram is his personal Instagram. If you want to follow food-related things while we're in Montreal, a lot of that will go through yours. I'll
probably have a few things a day. I'm probably, unless it's pouring rain, I'm going to guess there's enough going on that I'll...
Yeah, you'll get some
Unfortunately, my camera, I broke the outer lens on it a while ago.
So it's not the best pictures.
It's kind of fuzzy depending on how much pocket length or whatever else. I try and... they're not great quality.
Mike's phone is broken there, and my phone is broken here. So
we're due for new phones soon. It's just you'll see. But so the photos are not great. But actually, if I get them through through some of our software, either the camera I clean it up or our Lightroom. As bad as the photo is, it comes out not that bad.
Not too bad. You can see what it is.
Sometimes I get a spot on it because I have a lens spot. But I don't know how I broke it. I got something in my pocket that hit that spot exactly and poked it out.
That outer
I've never
glass.
had that happen on a phone.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're due for new phones, so hopefully that'll happen after we get back. But what just happened?
YouTube notifications.
Possible Dreams. Yes. Yeah, you know what's funny is last week I got a notification of my own live show coming up, and today I haven't seen it come up.
I think I don't know. We're on 9 o'clock.
Oh, you got the notification.
I did, but it came at 8:59 actually, so a minute before.
Yeah. We are every Sunday night at 9 p.m. now. We used to be at 8, but we're now at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Give you summertime, let it get close to dark.
Yeah, and that also lets us go foraging with Nobby and get back here because we got back at 8, which means that depending on the week, I'm probably not going to be able to get a lot on the web page. That's kind of my least priority. If I could get some research in on a herb of the week specific one, then I'll put it there, but I had more time to do that in the winter, so I will definitely keep up with the foraging discussions here, and I'll try to keep some of those videos going along with the projects around the house and planting. And we have, by the way, we did put in our brassicas. I forgot to mention that. Put in our brassicas
3 flats of stuff?
2 flats of stuff. Flat of brassicas, so broccoli, cauliflower, what do I get? Broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi, chard, and cabbage, of course. All that's in. I got some lettuces in, some like romaines and some bib lettuce and a variety of things.
We're working with this theory of late starting, partly due to scheduling, but partly permaculture, making things simpler and easier. late starting the things that really need to get started because we feel like they get stunted, and then direct seeding as
Yeah.
much as possible,
Yeah.
and just deal. There's
Still
especially
need to
things
direct
that
seed.
you want to start and you really want a baby. But for most things, we kind of decided we're gonna direct seed and we're gonna do.
I did
short
celery
starts.
Celery
Takes a long time.
They took so long to germinate. I wasn't sure if they worked because they were also older seeds, and you're not supposed to use old seeds with celery. But we got celery and celeriac in the soil blocks that are going. So as long as I keep them alive and keep them watered, we got peppers and tomatoes and all that. So the only thing that didn't grow was our Trinidad pepper.
Some of those are older. We have a bunch of seeds for that, but that's specialty. So we're gonna
see if I can start them
again. We need to put a whole bunch more in. Yeah. And it'll barely get towards maturing at the end of the summer, and then you got to bring it inside, and even that you have to hope that it
survives the winter.
Survives, and that when it comes in the summer, that you can get the peppers to go to maturity, so that you can get a new batch.
Yeah.
We
kept one alive for 9 years in New York. It just didn't make our first year here.
Yeah.
But it was also quite old at that point, so if we could get another one going, it would be nice. So I'm going to maybe start a whole flat of
to see what grows and try and
pepper.
Get a bunch of them. Get as many going as possible, but also
see if
we think it's going to be very low.
Low yield on it.
Low yield. And then we'll maybe grow up 5 or 6 of them if we get enough and just try and keep them going, and then we'll pick the best 2 or 3 of them.
And put them in pots over the winter. Anyway, and maybe if we get a greenhouse, another project on the to-do list, if we could get a greenhouse up front, then we can actually extend it a little bit by putting a pot in there until it gets too cold out there, and then we can bring it inside. But we don't really have a very good sunny window. It's also a problem.
And it loves heat, and it loves sun, and it loves humidity, and so it's a tough one in the winter. It just exists, and the goal is to keep it going and not kill it through the winter so we can get it out. But it doesn't even like the May, June weather. It's really July, August, and maybe partway into September, and then it's getting unhappy.
It likes the 80s, and the problem is here we only have a month or 2 in the 80s. So anyway, so I think we should wrap up because I have so much on the to-do list that I'm going to have to get an early start tomorrow. Oh my gosh, I forgot. There's one other thing I did this week, and that was integrate my 10 to 12 week olds. I'm not sure exactly how old they are into the main flock. So they're integrated as chickens into the main flock. 4 chicks that are like preteen age in weeks, which I think is the perfect age to integrate because they're fast enough to get away if they're being picked on, but small enough to not really be a big threat to the adults. So they are in as of when did I put them in? Thursday night, Friday night, as well. So yeah, a lot on the to-do list. I mean, all of this was pretty much to prep for traveling to Montreal and have things ready to go. But we got to wrap up because tomorrow I got to finish building that coop. I got to do laundry, and I got to pack and transplant the tomatoes. I don't know if we're getting through all of this. I'm probably not going to get a video edited tomorrow, but I will, like I said, put that on the back burner, and we'll get back to that when we get back. But keep your eyes open on our other media sites, and you'll be able to stay updated with what we're doing. So I do want to thank all of you guys for coming by and seeing us tonight. Had a lot on that list, and I hope you guys all have a good week and no more crazy weather. Of course, those of you in Michigan, it's always crazy in Michigan.
It's normal.
That's normal. If you don't like your weather today, just wait a day. Anyway, so we will definitely see you guys next weekend and with the summary of Montreal. So take care, you guys.
Good night.